Welcome to the first episode of Talk of the Nation, and I, your host, Shama Immortal, whom you know as the Civic Analyst on TikTok, Instagram, perhaps, and YouTube itself. So today is the first episode of Talk of the Nation, and what we'll be talking about is generally the general elections in Kenya. So we'll be exploring three particular articles in the Constitution of Kenya, that being Article 81, 36, and 86. Actually, it's Article 81, 38, and 86. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah, so today I have my first guest ever. This is Trevor Omondi. You might know him as Rever Trevor 254 on TikTok or Instagram. And he'll be the focal point of what will be taking us through this particular articles and topic. Welcome.
Asante sana. As Shama has said that today we're going to talk about not about political, but about election in Kenya. And the articles that you're going to be talking about that falls under election in Kenya, you'll say that under Article 38, 81, and 86. Thank you.
Yeah, so basically, these are not the only articles that fall under elections in Kenya. There are but some of the articles. I mean, there are a lot of them. I'm sure there's Article 88, which is about IEBC and whatever. So basically, let's start off. I'd like us to kick off with Article 81, at least to give us a basis. So I have the constitutional document here, and Article 81 is under Chapter 7, which is representation of the people. And if you've been following on my latest video, I actually spoke about the individual chapters, and I said that representation of the people is anything to do with the elections, basically how people represent us, isn't that?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have Article 81. So Article 81, it's basically the guidelines for electoral processes. It's the electoral system and processes. The electoral system, it states, shall comply with the following principles: freedom of citizens to exercise their political rights under Article 38, which brings us to Article 38. What do you have to say about that?
What I have to say about Article 38, it's about the basic thing, the main thing I'll talk about is running for the office. You know, most of the people, most of the youths, which are being called Gen Zs, they know that running for a seat in Kenya is only for the elderly people. Today in this, our country, Kenya, you cannot find a leader below 30 years. Because it has become that the past generation has come into the mind of the future. Because today, you cannot find a youth that wants to be a leader under 30 years. He knows that being a leader is above 30, and that's wrong. Because when you come to the Constitution of 2010, that falls under Article 38, you have the right, as long as there is some qualification of becoming a leader. And for the qualification of becoming a leader, you must be 18 years and above. You have a national ID and being registered as a voter. So those are the main basic things which I really like to talk about Article 38. That as long as you're 18 years and above, you're allowed, or as long as you have the qualification, which is you must be a citizen of Kenya, to run for maybe it's a national presidential seat, MCA, MP, you're allowed. Because nowadays, as youths, nobody or no one can thought about, let me become a leader. Because, for example, is this: I'm in a C2 school, which is extra county school, Shamir National School. Right?
Yes.
The food you're eating in the national school and the same food you're eating in C2 school, which is extra county school, is not the same. For example, I know the things people are suffering or the things people are taking in C2 schools, and you know the things people are taking in C1. So I know if I'm a youth, when I became a leader, I know the things that people are suffering from.
Yeah.
So I cannot, so you found someone like 30 years or 40 years above, he has already made it in life. So you cannot come there and say, I want the MP to do this for me. Why do you know I have already made it? My age mates have already made it. But when you're a youth and you stand for that seat, you know what other peoples or other youths are suffering from.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so you've actually spoken very well, because now it seems as though that mentality, basically, let me just say it in a nutshell, that mentality, people of the past walikuwa wanasema oh, sijui watu wanafaa wakwe some particular age ndio wakwe wa run for office in whichever. But now you are posing that it does not matter.
It does
well,
not matter.
as long as you're 18 years, you have a national ID and mostly educational qualifications. Take, for example, you can become a leader. So I want you people, you viewers, to take note of that. It doesn't matter what age you are, you can just become a leader. Well, of course it matters what age you are. As long as you're an adult, you have an ID, and you have the educational qualifications. So that means you can become a political leader at, let's say, even the age of 29.
Yes, you can even run for a presidential seat, which falls under Article 37, the qualification and disqualification, which maybe you are qualified, as you have said, the national ID, registered, and you are the Kenya. You can run for a presidential seat.
So if you look into Article 38 in particular, and also you've spoken about Article 137. Now that one is the qualifications and disqualifications for election as president. So let's just look into Article 38 for first. We have Article 38 explicitly states in Clause 1, every citizen is free to make their political choices, which includes the right to form or participate in forming a political party. So it doesn't matter, as long as you have the qualifications in terms of age, in terms of education, you can form your own political party or take part in forming that party. Is that right? Yeah, and then we have to participate in the activities of or recruit members for a political party. Take, for example, you can even go and campaign. That is also in Clause 1C, to campaign for a political party or cause. Then we have every citizen has the right to free, fair, and regular elections based on universal suffrage and the free expression of the will of elections for any elective public body of office established under this constitution or any office of any political party of which the citizen is a member. And then we have every adult citizen. Now we've spoken about your right to form a political party, to even vie for presidency, take for example, or any other smaller office. So now we're talking about every adult citizen has the right without unreasonable restrictions to be registered as a voter. So registration as a voter is a political right, right?
Yes.
And then we have to vote by secret ballot in any election or referendum, and then just basically anything that has to do with your elections, right? So Article 38 emphasizes anything that you have to do with elections. It is basically your right. So I was thinking about Article 38. I was thinking we should go to Article 137. That is qualifications and disqualifications for election as president. A person qualifies for nomination as a presidential candidate if the person is a citizen by birth. So if you were born outside of Kenya and you come to Kenya and then you register as a citizen, you are not qualified to become the president. You have to be a citizen by birth. You have to be born in Kenya. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then we have is qualified to stand for election as a member of parliament. So there's this thing mwalimu wangu alikuwa anasema, just because you are qualified to stand for election as a member of parliament, alikuwa anasema you have to become an MP first to become a president. I'm not sure if that's correct, so I'll just leave it to my viewers. Perhaps they can go research for me. I'm not sure if it's correct. Is it you must become an MP first, or you just have the qualifications to become an MP? Because I'm sure it's even in Article, let's say Article 9 or 8, the legislature, I'm sure it will talk about that. And then you have is nominated by a political party or is an independent candidate. An independent candidate, someone who does not have a party. And then is nominated by not fewer than 2,000 voters from each of a majority of the counties. Yeah, so basically this is basically what democracy is. Cindy, it talks about how people are engaged in their political rights. So hapa inasema kama wewe unataka kuwa president of Kenya, as long as the people wamekunominate 2,000 or more, wamekunominate in their constituencies, wamekunominate au wanataka wewe ukuwe president, that is how you can now qualify to be a president. It's not just educational, it's not just age restricted and whatever. That's basically what it is. Isn't that right?
Yes.
So then we were to focus actually on three main articles, right? That is Article 38 and Article 81 and 86. So moving back to our former line of thought, we have Article 81. I was talking about it being guidelines for elections. Then we have So I said freedom of citizens to exercise their political rights under Article 38. And then it says, at B, it says, not more than 2/3 of the members of elective public bodies shall be of the same gender. Hold up, Trevor. Do you do history and citizenship?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just in case you don't know, we are part of the CBE curriculum. So yeah, you do history and citizenship. That means you understand the guidelines. At least you've been taught, right? Yeah, so here we have not more than 2/3 of the members of the elective public bodies shall be of the same gender. That's what is called the 2/3 gender rule.
Yes.
And then you have fair representation of persons with disabilities. I think they also have their own ration. Some, let's say, let me just say it, not that it's actually how it is. I'd say, let's say 1/3 of these people, they will be represented by persons with disabilities.
Yes.
Take for example, mimi na wewe venye tunavaa miwani. That's a person with a disability. So let's say one person atakuwa, some people wenye wako na disabilities, they will vote in order to just promote equality. People take for example in the parliament, 1/3, let's say, watakuwa persons with disabilities. Mwenye haoni vizuri, labda he has his limb amputated and whatnot. Then we have universal suffrage based on the aspiration for fair representation and equality of vote. That one, siguzi sahi. So we're gonna do it. And then we have free and fair elections, which are by secret ballot, free from violence, intimidation, improper influence, or corruption, conducted by an independent body, transparent, and administered in an impartial, neutral, efficient, accurate, and accountable manner. So there's this one thing that really intrigues me, Trevor. It's this thing called by secret ballot. So what do you understand by secret ballot? In the context of voting, they told you vote by secret ballot. What do you think that means? Taking into account the word secret.
Secret, yani it means that I'll say it in Kiswahili, kura yako siri yako. There's a way that I'm not supposed to say that when I'm going to vote. I'm not supposed just to enter to the voting center and start saying, today I'm voting who? Uhuru, or I'm voting for Ruto. That's why in my words, as I think about the secret ballot, it's something like that. Kura yako siri yako.
Excellent. That is exactly what it means. So basically, you just can't go to a polling station, alafu una shout, nataka Ruto ndo akue president. That's not how voting is done in Kenya. Basically, it's the way I think you're right. I'm not really sure. I'm not 18 years old yet, so I'm not sure how people do the elections. Basically, the way we did it in school, take for example, let me use it this way. The way we did it in school, they have printed papers, and they've written the names of the candidates. And then whichever candidate you as an individual want to be the leader, you tick their name, and then you put it in a box. Now that box is now what we call a ballot. So when it says secret ballot, it's basically meaning that you vote by secrecy. Usiambie watu umevotia nani. Unachukua paper, sijui kama ni hivi, unaandika jina, and then you put it in that box, and then they will count it. But back in the day, there was this thing called mlolongo voting. So mlolongo voting was wherein people walikuwa wanapanga line. Wanaweka, take for example, kama tungekuwa na 3 candidates next election. We have Edwin Sifuna, President William Ruto, and Rigathi Gachagua. So they put, let's say, the names right there. There's 1/10 for Rigathi, 1/10 for President William Ruto, and 1/10 for Edwin Sifuna.
You know, the same thing is still happening in our school. Because in our school, when it comes to voting, there's some vote like a school chairman. Is the one who shall go, you given a printed paper, written the name. Those are some of. But when it comes to the dormitory prefect, is whereby the members who are sleeping in the dormitory, they will come and the candidate will stand in front of the people who want to elect the candidate behind.
That is exactly how Mlolongo voting was. I don't know why it was called Mlolongo. I'll go research on it. But just lining up in front of the person you want to be the president. So going on with that idea, they have a tent for Rigathi, they have a tent for Ruto, and they have a tent for Sifuna. So you line up. That's basically Mlolongo voting. And then it was abolished, I think, by this new constitution, because perhaps there were some ways And it was also it applied a lot of emotional damage. I mean, think, for example, if the people completely do not like this particular candidate, and then you look at their tent, there is no one there, or at least one person. Out of all of the members
Maybe he
of
has
the
2 voters and the other has
Yes.
above 100.
above 100. That is something that will apply emotional damage, I'm not gonna lie. But either way, basically, I think it is more effective. What do you think? Is it Mlolongo voting or secret ballot more effective? So basically, you said that in your school
We still use the Mlolongo one.
You still use.
In some sections, for example, like we only use it in dormitory prefects, which the members of the dorm were being, for example, I sleep in a dorm called Newton A. So the members of the Newton A will elect their leaders through the Mlolongo system, Mlolongo voting. That's the way we use. But when it comes to the chairman of the school, the entertainment prefect, dining on prefect, you've been given a sheet which you're supposed to be ticking, then you put in the box.
So that's where ballot box applies.
Yeah.
Okay, so us, it's pretty different. Ours, everywhere, it has to be by secret ballot. But then, now the problem is the chairman, this is something that seems to me it's not democratic. The chairman, the entire student council is chosen by the teachers. And I'm not sure if it's by the teachers, but they're supposed to go into the dining hall, for example, the multipurpose hall.
Yes.
And then they give their speeches. And after giving their speeches, I think it's either the teachers or the already elected prefects to see whoever will become
The
chairman or any other member of the student council. So you see, that's something that excludes every other member. You just find out that, they have not been given the chance to choose.
Yes.
So you find out imefika announcement of results, alafu tunafika nini, wameanza kusema ndo you the chairman, take for example sijui Edwin Nani, alafu unapata most of the people don't actually they never wanted him to be chairman, or perhaps he just has a good way of speaking, but kwa ukweli he's not qualified.
Yes.
So that's something that leads us to the next thing that I'd like to speak about, which is dispute resolution.
But when it comes to our school, for example, we candidates, there's a day which candidates goes to apply for running for the seats, which there are some qualification and disqualification, which, for example, the 844, if you go, you have B and above. I don't know if it's B plus or whatever, and above. For the grade 10s, it was meeting 2, or not meeting 2, meeting 1 and above. So if your marks is meeting 1 and above, you are qualified to run for the seat. Then the school gives the candidate a particular of 1 week for for campaign. So they can form their own, maybe their own parties or whatever. Then they came in the classes at 6 to around 7. They come for the campaigns. So after the 1 week is over, then there is a day which they bring the boxes, the secret ballots with the papers. Then you elect your leader.
Okay, so you said that the qualification is ME1.
Yeah.
For everyone who wants to run for presidency.
If you want to run for the presidency, you must.
So for us, it's pretty different. For every other prefect, it's ME1.
Because sometimes even we had election the previous term, which the school or the teachers elected their own chairman, and which it brought some misunderstanding with the students in the school. They had to add some other competitive with the one they chose. But at the end of the day, the one they chose was the one who became the chairman.
Okay, that is very interesting. So that's very interesting. You've already and that's good that you've spoken about this, because you said that you in an extra county school, I in the national school, we tell each other how things work in these particular schools. So you said that every prefect qualification is ME1.
ME1 and above.
Yeah, just in case you don't know, that's the grading system in CBE. So for us, it's EE2 and above for the one who wants to become chairman and any other member of the student council. So we have five members of the student council. We call them the big five.
Some people call them the big fives.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. So you see, there are a lot of similarities and differences between our schools. So we are now going to dispute resolution. So take, for example, I think I came across this particular article. I think it was 140. 140 was talking about questions as to validity of presidential election. So we have to understand that kuna watu wanataka huyo akuwe president,
Yeah.
kuna watu hawataki. So most of the time wenye hawataki akuwe president, they're the ones who wanasema the election has been rigged.
Yes.
Kura imeibiwa, things like that. So this is the procedure. You can, for presidents, you can go and file a petition to the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court ndio the judiciary ndio inaugurate ama announce the results. But for other offices, these smaller offices, you can go to these other courts, or you can just file a petition. Take for example to the parliament, unasema this guy is not supposed to be president.
Yeah.
This and this and this, not just president but member of parliament, this and this and this, these are the reasons. So take for example, if you had that settlement of differences in your school, how did you settle them?
About settling them, so they had to, for example, like add another candidates, because if they could have left the other candidates, it could lead something like, the strikes, whatever. So they had to add another candidate so that the students cannot be mad about it. So that, but I know even if they put you may find even maybe the vote was being stolen, because how could you know that the people did not want the one who was being chosen? So the people, they allowed, even if you come to me, I say that when it comes to the electing the chairman, I will spoil my vote. But when I came and I saw other candidates had been added in the list, I had to tick for the other candidates. But when the results came, the guy who was being chosen as the chairman of the school, who was the only one in the table, was still the one being chosen. So I suspect that the teachers did somewhat.
Some rigging of some sort.
Yeah. So that's actually it's not a good thing, but we had to agree with it because they added some other candidates.
Yeah, so you can't really. Yeah, and most of the time when you want to settle dispute, when you come with, as a lawyer, Trevor here, you want to become a lawyer still, right? Yeah, so as a person who wants to study law, if you are angry about a particular election being rigged, you're supposed to bring evidence, isn't that right?
Yes.
You're supposed to bring evidence. So if there's a lack of evidence to prove your point, then most likely the dispute resolution will be solved with that self-same person you did not want to be president or any leader being the leader.
Yeah.
And that's simply how it is. So yeah, anything to add on that, Trevor?
I want to add about the free and fair, transparent election. Because before the Constitution of 2010 came, in 2007, you know what happened?
Yeah.
Where Raila was running for election with Kibaki.
Yeah.
And Kibaki was being accused of manipulation. But the same thing will happen, and when the results came, Kibaki was the president. And Raila and the ODM team accused him of what? Manipulation. So when they accused him of manipulation, you know what happened? They came war and whatever.
Yeah, clash.
So the same thing, if the free and fair election will not appear in 2027, the same thing can happen. Because today there is no Baba who will come and say, Ruto, let us give a handshake, and people say, if Baba amesema, amesema. So what will happen in 2027, we don't know. But it's a bit time we as the people of Kenya, as the citizenship of Kenya, we must be, our minds should be focused. Not that if you find that today Sifuna won and Ruto doesn't know, the challenge starts with the lawyers. That's not the good thing as being a Kenyan. This is our citizen. As our war starts, it's bring the economic, it's bring our market down, the stability of the country goes down. Yeah. So today there's no Baba who will come. If Ruto will be accused of manipulation or manipulated in 2027, Sifuna cannot go to the session and say handshake with Ruto. And the same thing to Rigiji. Rigiji cannot. Rigathi Gachagua cannot.
Yeah, he can't.
Yeah.
So I think that now that one is up for assumption, but we're just saying our own basic point. So okay, so basically what the main point of this is, firstly, we have already established that you as a youth can run for any office as long as you have the qualifications. Take, for example, the age and the educational qualifications, and even the, let me say, the integral qualifications. You have to have high standards of integrity, ethics, and moralities, and whatever. Then we've also established how elections are done. They're supposed to be free and fair in any way. So basically, elections are just simple. They're just, if you look at the definition of election itself, it's just the process of choosing or electing for leaders.
Yes.
So basically, we're supposed to have a way, as a democracy, we as Kenya claim to be a democracy, we're supposed to look for a particular way wherein we are supposed to choose these leaders. They're supposed to be fair, they're supposed to be free, they're supposed to be transparent and accountable. And considering the fact that we have the IEBC, an independent body, now we are supposed to put our trust into this particular body, and not just us putting our trust. It's something that goes both ways. We put our trust in them, and they continue to conduct elections freely and fairly.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. So I just want to thank you, Trevor, for being with us today.
Thank you.
This is, again, the first episode of Talk of the Nation, where we've been talking about the elections in Kenya, and just stretching my vote of thanks to Trevor, who came here from very far just to be hosted and featured in this channel. So anyway, I hope this podcast has actually helped you. I hope it's now informed you, because the goal of this channel is basically for an informed citizenry, and having the target audience is basically the people of Kenya. So if you want to find more content such as this, you will have to follow me on TikTok at the Civic Analyst, subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is also at the Civic Analyst, and even on Instagram, you'll find me there and then and there at the Civic Analyst. Again, Trevor, I thank you and I welcome you again.
Yeah.
Thank you.